Private members' business, notice number 1, motion on Perth Freight Link project.
Member for Fremantle.
Deputy Speaker, I move the motion relating to the Perth Freight Link project in the terms in which it appears in the notice paper.
Member for Fremantle.
Deputy Speaker, this motion is very simple. It's about fairness for Western Australia. It's about ensuring that WA is properly supported by the Morrison Government as it seeks to emerge from the heavy impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. It's totally unacceptable that the Abbott-Turnbull-Morrison Government continues to hold $1.2 billion of federal funding over the heads and out of the reach of the people of Western Australia for the sake of playing a silly political game. They've done that for 4 years, which is bad enough, and to continue holding WA to ransom for their own political vanity in future is simply ridiculous. To continue denying the people of WA the sensible use of those funds is the very definition of senselessness and selfishness. Deputy Speaker, in 2014, the Abbott government pledged $1.6 billion to the Perth Freight Link project, a road that didn't reach Fremantle Port, had no cost-benefit analysis, was to be operated as a private toll road and was designed to facilitate the privatisation of Fremantle Port. When the money was announced, it took the Barnett government completely by surprise. Unfortunately, they've always been prepared to be pushed around by their federal Liberal colleagues. They made it the centrepiece of their 2017 state election campaign. And scandalously, against the advice of Main Roads WA, in the shadow of that election, the Barnett government wasted $20 million of taxpayers' funds and knocked over 100 hectares of the fragile Beliar wetlands. Not surprisingly, that kind of arrogance was repaid at the ballot box, and the people of Western Australia chose a different future. A future in which, thanks to the McGowan Labor government, port operations remain a public asset rather than being sold off. A future in which railroad and public transport projects are being delivered across the South Metro region, the region I represent, after 9 years in which the Barnett government delivered nothing. And that future is now being realised. We've already seen the widening of the freeway northbound from Russell Road. We've already seen a significant jump in freight rail with a corresponding decrease in truck freight. We're now seeing the new Armidale Road North Lake Bridge project well underway that will improve connectivity and address congestion for my constituents in the city of Coburn and for my colleague, the member of Burt's constituents. We're seeing the long-awaited upgrade of High Street in Fremantle. Sadly, Deputy Speaker, the crystal clear choice made by the people of WA has fallen on deaf ears when it comes to the Western Australian Liberals, because since 2018, this federal Liberal government has put aside another $1.2 billion for what they call Row 8 and Row 9, and that means that WA continues to be shortchanged. It means the WA Liberals, sadly, keep dancing to the tune of their federal masters. 4 years in the wilderness, and they still put the interests of WA behind their blind loyalty to whatever they're told from Canberra. Will they ever have the bottle to speak up about submarine maintenance and defence shipbuilding in Western Australia? Will they ever have the courage to call out the fact that WA has been lumped with the largest share of the worst NBN technology? Who knows? Who knows? But 4 years later, we are still waiting. And instead of speaking up, instead of having the courage to pressure the Morrison government, they're now doubling down on a piece of madness that died 4 years ago. And nothing demonstrates the deep uselessness and irrelevance of the WA Liberals better than the fact that after 4 years in which you think they might have done some policy work and considered some new ideas, the self-described centrepiece of their 2021 campaign is, wait for it, Row 8 and Row 9. Deputy Speaker, I know the member for Tangney and his colleagues enjoy political games and stunts, and that's their choice. But they've also made a big song and dance in the past about the importance of respecting a political mandate. Now, the people of Western Australia made a decisive choice in March 2017 that hasn't been respected by WA Liberals, state or federal. They continue to ignore the needs of Western Australians. They continue to put their vanity above the projects and services and jobs that WA needs to emerge from this health and economic crisis. Well, in 3 weeks' time, we'll be on the other side of another Western Australian state election. And if the people of Western Australia again reject the pointless and wasteful and harmful Row 8 project, it will be utterly unacceptable for WA to be denied the opportunity to benefit from budgeted federal funds, $1.2 billion in federal funds. That funding should be applied to projects that support our community's needs and help Western Australia recover from the pandemic. That funding should not be held to ransom in the name of a political game, a silly set of political stunts that answer to the vanity and the selfishness of federal Liberals who continue to take Western Australia for granted.